do you also coach the board in terms of
questions?
Yeah, sort of a workshop fashion, like, you know, this is what you're looking for. These are, I mean, you know, a lot of us in this room know this board. We've watched them function, and, you know, they don't always do so great, you know, and I mean, I would say that right, if we were in a public meeting right now, they do not really collaborate very well. And I think that they really could use some, am I being diplomatic, folks? I
think you've made the point.
I think that the thing that they need the most coaching on is that collaborative process of keeping our eye on what we all as a district are interested in achieving. And I just, you know, I can't stay long and continue to hear about the process. I need to go to something else this evening. But I just implore you to remind them.
Okay, let me answer your question.
I haven't asked the question yet.
I thought you were asking a question.
I'm just asking you to really coach them on how to make this process more collaborative for them and what kind of criteria that they need to use in terms of making a selection.
Absolutely.
That's the most critical piece.
Well, the other part of it is that when we present candidates, we don't just give them pieces of paper. We describe people and tell them why we think these candidates match the profile and the things that they have said are important. We also say to them, we will go to as many or as few of the interviews, and we will provide you with all, some, or none of the questions that we think you ought to ask. But we will say, if you take no questions from us, you should decide that there are certain questions you're going to ask of those kinds of things. We will
see, that's a very important point. Every single candidate, at least in my experience, and Pam's been through a superintendent search as well. She served on the Colts Neck board for many years. They must all be asked the same questions.
Right.
It gets too confusing.
We will go over the legal parameters of conducting interviews. I think that's what you're talking about.
Chris Katsatelis serves on the board. He's been through a superintendent search before. I don't know about the rest of them. They're going to need
if that's what you meant by coaching, we will go over the legal parameters of what you can ask, what you can't ask. We'll give them questions that they can use in the process, the first round.
Let me just tell you one other thing very fast before you leave, because we don't want you to walk out and not know the other part of this. We suggest that when they get down to the 2 or 3 of the people, that what then happens is that they should have the people come to the district for a whole day, meet with people and with groups, then after school meet with the teachers. Everybody's invited to come to an open process, and we have a way of putting an evaluation sheet so everybody, even if you can't ask a question, was there and gets it. And then that night we do a big public session where the public has an opportunity to hear the people speak, answer the questions. We facilitate that. Because at that point...
Hear the candidates speak?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so at that point, they're out in the open.
They're out in the open, is right.
And this could be 3 or 4 people at this point.
It's more likely to be 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Okay? And...
So their cover's blown.
Well, once we give that to the board, you know, the confidentiality's over. They know that. It's hard for 9 people not to say something, even if they don't mean it. It's hard for them to say. But the point here is that this goes from a very public process of gathering information to a confidential process to the board, and then it becomes very, very public. So that everybody, regardless of their position, has an opportunity to come and to hear. We are not big advocates of taking the process from a board decision to an appointment and lodging that in a small group of people, no matter how committed they are. We're just not.
The final number, though, is up to the board.
Right, of course.
You know, the final number is up to the board.
Okay? Now, then the board decides whether they're going to visit 1 or 2 or 3, but you see, the person is here all day. Teachers have an opportunity. Everybody wants to come. Anybody in the community who wants to come here, and there's a way, you got to do this in a kind of orderly way. If you have 300 people, you're not going to let people stand up and do that. And one of the ways we did that was just have people write questions on 3x5 cards, and then one of us asks the question, the person responds, and then people sit and listen. And then at the end, they have an opportunity to say, on these identified questions, here's where I think this is. We collect all that information and give it to the board. Here's the feedback from all of these people.
Do those 2 finalists ever meet each other?
Well, generally, they know each other, you know, that we'll know of each other. When you do this publicly, it doesn't take long to figure out who was there before. We don't do this 2 in one night because that's kind of a tough thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I...
But eventually they know.
No, it's not a boxing match.
Or Miss America.
Okay, now, that's the plus.
Yeah, we should have said that.
I don't want you to hear all of that.
Yeah, that would be a little awkward.
No, she means
All right,
nepotism.
now,
Oh, no, I thought you meant.
so questions you have about the process, about anything we've said before we ask some questions of you? And then you can ask a
Came in
couple.
a little late, but the package that you give to the board, what you said, it's about 6, 7 people.
Probably, yeah.
They're already vetted by you?
Yes.
Preliminary, yes. The kinds of things that you do some searches to be sure you have something that is pretty evident about where they've been and what they've done.
We also interview all of them.
And we interview.
Personally. One-on-one interviews with all the candidates. We do
Because
that.
to expand on what you were saying about the board, they're not in the position, our board, to pick the superintendent. There was even debate about that, and we didn't want the board. That's why you guys did.
That's why the candidates we give them, the question is, do we rank them? No, but everyone we give them, we feel would be able to do the job.
We've
That's
never,
the key.
in
That's the real key.
In the years that we've been
And it may
doing
not be
this,
5 or 6,
we've
it may be
never
few.
had a reopening
So we know.
of the search. The other thing is that in certain instances, at least in 3 of them, when we presented 6 people to the board, 4 to 5 of them became superintendents within 3 months afterwards. And in many instances, we couldn't keep it to 6. We had to go more than that. And most recently, when we were doing something, even the critics about why somebody was brought into this said to us, we're very, very pleased at the choices you gave us, because that's what we do. We want to bring choices. The other thing is, we both worked with boards of education for a long time. And we know boards of education can be fragmented. We also know that in the proper set of circumstances with structure and support, they can surprise a lot of people in terms of the quality of what they do. And so we're going to work on the assumption that this is a group of people that under the right kind of structure will do well with this, until proven otherwise.
Can you also, for those people who haven't had the wonderful experience of serving on the school board, let everyone know that most good, effective boards do hire outside sources. This is not something that most boards take on.
True. Yes.
Oh,
No
especially
board in the right mind
a
would
district-
ever try to do this by themselves.
a district this size?
District of any really good size.
Well, but it magnifies itself.
Yeah, the last, it was the
Somebody
last board.
suggested
They
that
were
they
floating
didn't
out
know
there.
any
But that was a long time
and we
ago.
adjusted losses.
I wouldn't quite say it that way, but it is this is a very hard thing to do.
That's why.
And it's hard to be a board member too. Any of you have ever been a board member, you know that. To add this on to it too is asking an awful lot.
Well, the board president did suggest that in public, if they can do it themselves.
Right.
That's why there was a...
And then we got chewed out on the forums for spending...
Let me just give you one more example. It's the frame of
We got
reference.
chewed out for spending money.
The frame of reference, our frame of reference is very large. We work on a daily basis with numerous superintendents in the state. Any Board of Education's frame of reference is usually 1 superintendent, or maybe 2 superintendents. That's the frame of reference they have. So we have a larger scope of a larger focus, rather, of what excellence is in terms of superintendents.
And the board concluded, I don't know about unanimously, but certainly a large percentage of the board members said, we can't do this by ourselves, we want some help.
And the way you
They
sort
did
of
that.
set up the board here, cast doubts on that.
Yeah, I think this gentleman first.
I understand you're going to develop a profile, talking to the community, the teachers, but my question is, will there be any of your input to that profile?
Yes.
What is
Well,
that?
we're going to say this.
We're going to develop,
We're going to say this. Look, here's the patterns we've seen. And here's the way this information comes. And here's what we think this information can be categorized as. And here's the way we think you can describe this. That's our impression, and then we will do that together. Because there are lots of things that people will say that you don't want to have all these fragmented pieces or phrases. You want to be able to have something very coherent that comes out in a paragraph or 2. And we will present those ideas and help the board shape them. That's our role.
And when will we as a public and the board know about that profile?
We are going to present to them on the 14th. They're going to make some decisions about how soon they can get to the point of advertising.